Okay, it says I have 34 minutes and 35 seconds to record this. This is gonna be March's video. I gotta be careful with this damn camera. Cause I ain't got the damn drawers on. I ain't putting none on either, so deal with it. Watch me scoot across this bed all thick like... Listen, I tried to take notes for this shit, because I don't write notes for these guys. I gotta try to get this all out in like 30-ish minutes so I have space for editing the video. Because otherwise I'm gonna have to go back down to my videos, which I'm gonna have to do anyway, because if I only got 34 minutes of recording time, that means I'm just about full on my camera. I hope you can hear me, because this is pretty much the setup. I got the stand over there, and I'm in the bed, because I wanted to be comfortable. Because that's what I'm doing now. I'm deciding to be comfortable. And if I get an editor at some point in time later, and we get the skills to be like, making it so that these videos do a thing, great. Until then, this is episode 3 of season 3. Yeah, I'm gonna call this season. I'm gonna call this season 2. Whatever is episode 3, because this is the third year that I'm doing it of barely doing stuff now with words. I'm a little far away again. I wholeheartedly admit that. And this episode is going to be labeled barely eye-opening. Because the experience that I've gone through recently, and I probably should have kept a pen with me so I could have jotted stuff down when I was jotting stuff down, but I digress. I got enough stuff here where I could hit these, and maybe each one of these could be like 5 to 10 minutes maybe, because normally they're about an hour. So this one going to be half an hour, which is fine, because again, you will get the... Ooh, I got to put got my goodies in here. I got my goodies in here. Just, you can't see my goodies. The YouTuber cut me. Hey, what you doing? These videos aren't for children anyway. If you've ever seen a video and it says it's okay for children, it's lying. Because I make sure that when I post all of my videos, they're not for the children. It says it. Is this acceptable for anyone under 18? It is not. I swear, the topic matter I talk about, there's probably should be a trigger warning on every video, because damn near every video got some of my own personal experience with trauma in it, and I believe that everybody has experienced a certain level of trauma. So you know, I digress. I normally have on a hat, but I have recently, like 2 days ago recently, become real secure with all of this. Like, maybe I'll start posting other videos on other sites. You know what I'm saying? For other audiences. You know what I'm saying? But as of right now, I really wanted to just address these particular topics because, like, I have this discovery that occurred. Now, I think as a person of color who is identifying as non-binary, which is a queer of the Q and the LGBTQ. I'm not doing the rest of the acronyms because a lot of them make me uncomfortable. A lot of things make me uncomfortable. I get to experience discomfort with a great many things. And it's not a favorable opinion. And I admit that it is not a favorable opinion. Like how I got so many fucking pillows on my bed. Like how this camera stand is about 5 and 7 inches tall. And my bed is about that high from the midsection of this camera stand. Cause I'm a pretty princess. I don't give a fuck if you want to feel like I'm a whole nigga. You can't call yourself a pretty princess. Whatever. Princess in the P. I got 2 mattresses. The top one softer than alpaca fur. Okay, this thing built like an emu feather is crazy soft, and I'm in it, and I like being in it. But again, I keep referring back to my little notes. I was running through this scenario because, again, you go through these little experiences in life, man, and I'm trying to tell you the spiritual experiences that you get being a person who always tells what they think is the truth. Now, I'm getting some real clear indicators. Again, I don't like labels or anything like that, and I don't like separatist conversation or anything like that. So even just the label of non-binary is just me exacting my godhood into reality. That's just me. It's just my perspective of how that is I accept the parts of me who are, I respect the fact that my body came out with a, know what I'm saying? But I also respect the parts of my body that, like, you know, I don't even know how to do that, that are much more feminine in quality, and they you know, they do that to each other, and I'm fine with that. That's my body, because again, I was born with a visible, but also I happen to be hosting space for the glands that exist. You know, I also happen to produce enough estrogen that I don't get a lot of body hair or facial hair for a person with a, know what I'm saying? So, be as that may, a lot of the things that happen to come across my experience are frequently people who do not have my body type are interested in people with my body type because they feel a certain level of femininity. They feel that in me because I display comfort and nurturing and loving and caring. But they don't understand that I wasn't raised in that. And that's kind of where I was going with this today, is that there's a certain kind of mechanism that's taught to us by our parents, by society, by all the things that we engage in. If you don't already know, most of my videos are just me repeating the same stuff in different areas, in different clothing. That's most of my videos is me talking about stuff I believe, and since I'm a reiteration of life, I'm pretty much repeating myself until other people start having this conversation with me, which I will then hold another space for a podcast, because this one's gonna be mine always. I'm always gonna have this. This gonna be me. But other podcasts may evolve from this one. We talked about that in December, how this may not be the final variations. This isn't my final form. I'm not gonna do any hand signs for you. I ain't got the jutsus learned yet. I know sign language too a little bit, but that's just a little bit. Because even though it's my first language, it's not one that I maintained through communication with other hearing impaired / deaf people. Society has put us in this place because I got to kind of get this on a roll, because we about 10 minutes already. I've been talking. Is like, I was taught by people who assign us female and men to dislike masculine qualities. Like whatever somebody before me did, my dad, my uncles, my granddad, their friends, whatever they did, the people who taught me how to be a male told me not to be a male. Like, my mom didn't like me being strong or standing my ground or being a solid person until it benefited her. But all the other times she wanted me to submit, it was like an elephant tied to the barbed wire type situation, and then later tied to a rope. There was no exertion of power. I couldn't do anything strong. So when I finally did do strong stuff, I kind of got the Harambe treatment. They didn't kill me. And Harambe was in a scenario where there wasn't that much expressed excitement until other people started engaging with that nigga violently. And so that's my experience. My experience has consistently been that I get into a scenario where I'm trying to express a certain type of softness, because that is what I've been taught. My uncles beat the living liver out of me because it's in the same area, it's in your gut region. If you know what I'm talking about, it's a similar color to the other thing I'm referring to. But they beat, like, I had six uncles, and one of them just gave me trauma, and the other ones beat the living hell out of me. Trauma in the way that I can't explain right now via YouTube. S-aid. And the other ones just kind of beat the hell out of me, literally. They gave a lot of emphasis to making sure that I knew I wasn't strong. I wasn't supposed to be strong. And everything that I learned what a man was, or a masculine person was not supposed to be strong. I was supposed to be weak. Even though they were exerting strength and abuse and terror and whatever other cases, I wasn't supposed to be that, even though I've been 6'4" since I was about 11. I'm 6'6" currently, and I probably will get just a little taller. Maybe there's a lymph node issue or some stuff with my nodes that may, I'm not like a giant or anything like that. I'm not basketball-esque. I'm more football-esque, if we're doing sports stereotypes, but I'm soft. And so in that experience of me learning what my masculinity was supposed to display as, I didn't like any of that. But on the exact same note, people who express femininity with vaginas taught me to dislike femininity and people with vaginas. So for a long while there, even though I liked people with vaginas, I didn't like people with vaginas who displayed femininity. I liked trans men. I liked more gruff. My oldest daughter's mother was the matriarch of her household. And I thought that was hot because she kind of was in charge of that shit. It was dope. But I don't like being told what to do. Especially not about my kids. That's a whole lot of stuff. And each relationship from my first relationship up has been people with vaginas who displayed femininity to a certain quality of masculinity. Like they either had to survive some shit so it made them strong, or they exerted strength to like make a way through life. And the majority of the time, the people that I dated were of the brown coloration. So there was a lot of, I have to be strong so that I can survive. And then when I started dating people of the lighter pigmentation, there is I have been taught to be manipulative and exert passive-aggressive displays to get my point across / get my needs met. But in the long run, either way, 1304, that's crazy, there has been a pure expression of this makes me uncomfortable. Because I have been trying to identify, and I'm not trying because I hate the use of trying, I'm doing. I have been identifying myself as non-binary for a long time because I don't want to play that game. I don't want to play that hierarchy game. I don't want to play that statures above statures. I don't want to be better than you. I don't want you better than me. I want us to come together as a partnership, some cogs, gears, make it work together situation. And that hasn't been what I have been allotted. I also recognize that you attract what you are to some degree. So what I was getting in those particular times in my life, even up to the current day, is a thing that I exuded. There was a part of me that needed to learn that lesson, and I accept that. I accept wholeheartedly that was the thing. I weigh 400 pounds, like 412 as of right now. Ain't no embarrassed to me about how big I am. I'm more embarrassed that I don't fit most of my clothes, but that's a whole different story, because I like my clothes tight, and now my tight clothes is too tight. They're too tight, like my belt too tight, not my pants. My pants not too tight. My belt too tight a lot of the time, because I really don't care. More discomfort in my gut area because I like to do yoga, so it'd be in my way. But not enough for me to stop eating ice cream or cookies. But I digress. So with that experience, I got to keep this thing tucked up because I swear to goodness, some of my family Jews about to spill right out. If you ever learn about George Washington Carver, y'all about to see a whole bunch of nuts out there today. I forgot where I was, but I will try to continue with. So I've been learning that my display and what I've been receiving and how I've been receiving it have been kind of correlated with my childhood trauma, which I really wasn't picking up on. From there were other things that I like applied effort to and healed and like expressed, and I learned all this language to kind of communicate effectively with the people that I communicate with, and create these like large loving relationships with like very few people, because again, not everybody's ready to accept what I perceive. Not everyone's willing to accept my straightforward approach to problem solving. As a person with a penis, we are taught that we're analytical and that we shouldn't have emotion. I'm hyper emotional. I don't know. I'm hyper emotional. Like, I'm excitable all the time. Like, this is how I am when I am happy in my own energy. Okay, excited. I be laughing and shit. I be making art and stuff and just doing all kinds of lovely jazz. And then if I have to like process your energy, I'm like, nah, I don't do so well with other people's unfiltered sadness. Let me just be direct. I don't do other people's grief and sadness without preparation well. Like, this is my safe space. Look at all these goddamn pillows. Look, I took the most out of the shot because I didn't want you to see how many I had. I got like 27,000 pillows out this motherfucker. And I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable in my space. When I leave my house, I immediately have to perform to be a black man. I have to act like a black man. I don't know any like healthy black men role models. I'm learning a few that I'm like, and I'm like this many. I know like this many. I use the smallest finger on my hand because my pinky toe, I gotta cut my nail. It ain't crusty or nothing like that, but it's just, I didn't want to do all that and then figure out how not to show you my crotch. I don't have that many positive black male roles in my life. At least not what I would qualify as pure, because then you know all the heroes can die. You either live long enough to be a superhero, or you live long enough to die a superhero, or you die a villain. Oh, no. You live long enough to become the villain, or you die a hero. That's it. That's how you say it. That's just because I watched anime most of my life. I grew up. Those are my positive male role models are animated. They're imagination, because they're not physically in this world. They're 2D. They're 2D. Okay, so that means that those people don't exist within the earthly realms and tend to have powers outside of the significance that would have anything to do with society. On top of that, let's just go make this pile happen, because you got to gain an understanding, because I'm trying to explain how I perceive right now, and how I've just learned to perceive myself has a lot to do with what I've gone through. So I was like, oh man, okay, so I really, like, I don't like penis. Like, I've done my experimentation with phallic shaped members because I didn't ever want to engage with a physical member attached to a person. And then I went to apply like a lot of understanding to like the female form and female energy and feminine qualities and so forth and so on. But then I accepted that that wasn't all of what I needed, because there was a certain type of behavior. Again, stereotypical behavior, traditional woman behaviors that I never received in my childhood. So I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with someone who is subservient, but also wants to argue. I don't know how to do the half and half. I'm not asking for no weak-willed person, but like, either be strong, we gonna fight, and you okay with fighting, or be like soft and just let me cut into you like butter so that I can spread you across this bread. Spread you across this bread and enjoy this toast. Ding. But like, so where I currently am is, I think, just an expression of self is I'm really, maybe my monk error, I'm just like a celibate kind of abstinence, abstaining from the relationship, because maybe I'm just perceiving as the reality of like a person who is spiritual. The consistency will be, I gotta lean up a little bit, oh my gut. I gotta lean up a little bit, because the consistency seems to be that there is no particular type of safety in the current day relationships. Either the person wants to be a strong, independent, non-traditional, and I really dislike the fact that there are traditional stereotypes, but doesn't want to do the feminine side of the relationship, because gender stereotypes and like the stereotypical like roles that have to be played out in relationships in order to be there. No, there is a leader, there is a follower, and then there can be groups of followings. And I was just talking to like one of my close associates slash friends slash family members that I had gained over my life. I call them Warlock. I was explaining to them that I think, because we were talking to each other on a continuous basis about how hierarchies exist. So I'm like, I think hierarchies have to exist, because even in the manipulation of an idea, this is my podcast, this is my channel, I'm doing it, this is the thing. Like, my ego loves that. It's like, blah, mine. But I created this expression, and I'm just doing it raw. And then at some point, someone is going to join me on a different level of this, but it's going to be a joining of forces. But it won't be this anymore. It'll be the other thing that happens when two forces join. Like when two stars collide and they become a new star, and then they're able to gain like momentum and catch bigger free-floating radicals in space and create planets out of the leftover gases and leftover material that float around them, XYZ. A solar system will happen, but that's initially after impact. The creation has to come together. There's one that's larger than the other. One will osmosis the other. Pardon me. One will absorb the other one. I'm sorry, I can cry a little bit. Expression is raw. 21 minutes, so I've got 10 minutes to kind of surmise of this. And then like I was kind of going through the expression, because again I'm checking the fucking notes, guys. Because I said I was going to start doing them like 3 years ago and didn't start writing notes, and today I wrote notes for this one. So the third episode of this year in March is going to be the one that started with notes, and maybe April will have a bunch of notes. Who knows? But as of right now, I got like one note, and I'm going like 5 minutes off of that one particular line. And so far I've done that, and now I'm going to talk about two other things. And I'm talking about this like kind of dynamic between like the lead and the follow thing, because everyone is traumatized. Everyone, not somebody, not sometimes, not everyone, all the time is traumatized. You have an experience. Your experience is, your memory projects the thing into your space. Your body is constantly living through a memory state. You're not ever living through a noun state. You're always living through an after. Like even in this video, as it's happening, the thoughts that I'm having are coming out of my mouth after the initial process. They're all after the fact. So you have this fight, this freeze, flee, or move forward effect in your life. Fight, freeze, flight, whatever the case. However you want to like however you want to use those terminologies. In a relationship, the same thing happens, regardless whether you love each other to the utmost height or not. And because of self-control, you resist those urges to fight, flight, or freeze. If you disagree, a fight instinct happens, a freeze instinct happens, a flight instinct happens, and then you control yourself so that you can come together on an equitable approach. Not an equality, not equality, not equality. You do not give a child the same amount of food that you give an adult. You do not give a cat the same amount of food you give a dog. So forth and so on. If your wife is eating as much as you are, then you're probably giving them too much because their bodies are just smaller. I'm just trying to like rationalize this for you, like in a very simplified, oversimplified way that doesn't put like a gender narrative on it, but like size comparison. You do not give an ant the same amount of water you give a hummingbird, even though they're both small, tiny things, okay? You don't do that. That's just not how the experience goes. So when it comes to like this relationship dynamic, when you're having a conversation, when you're having this disagreement, this engagement that says both of you aren't in the same space, on the same page, aren't reading the same paragraph, so forth and so on, the communication is aligned to the narrative that you've been taught as a person, okay? I don't give a fuck how you identify. I do not care. I I do not care because the identifiers just irking my soul now. As a person who's non-binary, again, identifier, I don't care what pronoun you call me. I know how you perceive me already. I don't care. I don't care. Again, got into the bed. It's my luscious, Jesus Christ. It's my lusciousness. I am pretty princess. It's mine. I don't care. Pink's my favorite color because it reminds me of vagina. I don't have another experience outside of that I'm not like, ooh, flower. And I have a flower in my mind that reminds me of the color pink. It's not. Every vagina I've ever seen is pink. It's the only reason I like it. I love it. It's my favorite color next to black. That has a whole slew of other favorites, but I digress. In the relationship, there is an equitable relationship. There is a symbiotic relationship that occurs where give and exchange is happening. A two-way street relationship. It isn't one. There isn't a slight manipulation because the one party and the other party already know that they're exchanging quote-unquote favors. They're exchanging quote-unquote energy. They're giving the amount of stuff that they want and they're receiving the amount of stuff they want. And if they aren't, if it's a healthy relationship, if it's the healthiest relationship in the world, they can stop and communicate with each other. Okay? We aren't taught that in our gender role society. Because they're taught that this is the role you have to be. You got to be strong. You got to do a thing. You got to fight. It's got to be your way, the right way, all the time. Now, I don't agree with like 1950s relationships because of abuse, 1930s relationships, but they had this narrative that said they were going to try to do everything in their power to make it work. I just learned that one of my neighbors is like amazing. Their partner and them don't agree. They don't agree to certain things, so then they decided to live apart. They haven't stopped being together, which blew my mind. Like, I just learned this today. Like, since they were 14, he's 40. What? That's mind-boggling. They agreed that they could not be together in a physical space. They separated, and they still love each other with none of the contingencies that something is wrong. Do you hear that? What is that? That's amazing to me. Hold on, how long I got? 26 minutes. All right, I got like 6 minutes left. I gotta try to do this. Okay, so with that experience happening, it's like, so then who am I? When you get to the expression of who am I am, okay? I am, you are. If you can't see it on my neck, that's fine. Tattoo's small. My neck's thick. I'm getting thicker. It's not necessarily making it easier to see. Did I just knock something off the bed? I probably did. That's fine. You probably heard it too. I think it's the plugs, but that's regardless of the point. So that's that point, that point, that point. And so you get to this point in the relationship where you feel like you're not necessarily sure what you're supposed to do because you as a person with a vagina have been taught that you have to be strong, independent, whatever the case. You as a person with a penis have been taught that you have to be strong, independent, whatever the case. Regardless of how you appeared in your birth body, you've been taught that independence is the thing. We no longer do the communal living. We no longer do the living that says that we're doing it for each other, we're doing it together. And then if it is that case, it has to be agreed upon. Again, I bring up my partnerships with my friends because I call them partnerships because there's exchange of information, there's exchange of energy. They acknowledge that I don't mean sexual. They understand that I mean romantic. And by romantic, look up the definition. It means that I exchange love with them. I love them. I love a lot of people. Polyamorous person. I don't. Polygamy. Polyandry. Polyamory. Multiple loves. And so I give this love to these people, and they understand from this perspective that I don't mean them any harm. We come to an agreement. I say to people when I can have this conversation with people who can have this conversation with me back, I say I don't choose offense. I do not choose to be offended by you. I can witness and observe your pattern of behavior that says you don't give a fuck about me. I can do that. I do not choose offense in it. I choose to take note of the behavior, okay? If I smack you, okay? If I do that, you'll feel it. Every time I go to lift my hand, you'll have a reaction to that. That is a witness of pattern and behavior. That's not you being offended by me lifting my hand. That just means you think I'm going to do the thing I did last time I lifted my hand in an aggressive manner. That's trauma. So that means anytime you felt rejected, anytime you felt ostracized, anytime you felt like someone was pointed at you and giving you descriptions of your behavior, anytime you felt like someone was trying to put you down, and it didn't have to be someone that didn't love you. It could have been someone that loved you. We all have those experiences. They tend to come out in our relationships because there isn't enough healing that happens there. And by healing, I don't mean that like you're never going to ever have that experience again. By healing, I mean like you haven't addressed that issue to the point where you can hold space for yourself. A lot of the time we're in these relationships and we're not holding space for ourselves. We're wanting someone to come in and cater to us. This is my princess bed. I don't give a fuck that you're going to have a problem with me calling it my princess bed. I only ever heard of one story with a lot of beds and someone being uncomfortable because it wasn't the right way, and it was Princess and the Pea. I didn't say anything about my bed sheets being blue. I only said something about my bed sheets being pink, and it reminded me of vagina. Again, me not attaching that to sex or gender, just the description of a physical portion of the body. Whether you think I'm hypersexualizing it or not, just want you to see these two zeros right here, and if I put an F over on this side, it would be 0 of the F's that I have for your care and concern about this being the princess bed. Okay, I got 4 minutes left. Okay, so I got to surmise it. What did he say? How do I pronounce this? Jacque, fresco. So it's either Jacques or Jackie. I don't really know. Jacku. This guy had a quote and it said, human behavior that's shaped by culture. Everything we do is shaped by culture. All of it. I had this experience, I kind of got to break it down really fast, where I didn't get accepted for a job. And that leads me to the next statement. When you feel bad, you imitate death. You get down, you get low, you stop wanting to be active, you stop wanting to move. That's why my bed is so soft. Because like when I'm sad, I don't want to like go fight. I don't like fighting. I don't like arguing. I don't like doing none of that. I was raised in hell, okay? Listen to me. I was raised in the pits of hell. But I'm not really comfortable there. I don't even like being hot. I moved to Portland and almost Alaska because I would rather be cold than be hot, okay? Just like my living, attach it to the storyline, get it together. 32 seconds, okay. So with that being said, I just wanted to kind of like give you guys a perspective of like, you really don't have to do anything other than accept yourself where you are and kind of love yourself the way that you want to love yourself and not expect anybody to love you in that way, because no one's going to be able to love you that way. No one's going to be able to produce the type of love that you need because they don't know every little thing about you. No one's going to be able to give you the type of love that you want because they don't know everything about you. Only you can love yourself that way. And that's what I'm really like coming to grasp with right now is like, I don't think I like any of you guys in the way that I initially thought that I liked you. I think I love you because we're all the same giant deity being thing, and it's good to love and get love back, but I don't think I want to bump humps with any of you guys in the manner in which I thought I did prior to this point in time, if that makes any sense, because I feel really comfortable saying that out loud and I don't feel offended. I don't feel upset about doing that. Pardon me. Yes. Okay, so be safe always and always. All is well. Always. Continue growing. Continue to love yourself. I know this has been like, I'm like 16 days in, but I gotta cut it short anyways. I love you a whole bunch. I'm gonna try to get to the camera without my dangleberry showing, so you know, bear with me.